wonderful opportunity to stand here. My wife and I, for a very long time, we always talked about how one of the greatest honors that any of us can receive would be to stand and teach at an FSC. So I don't take this lightly. I am very grateful. Today, I want to talk to you young people about mindset. As Pastor has said, there's so many things that have been taught throughout the days. We've tackled a lot of the spiritual side. There's been a lot of practical wisdom that we've learned. But today, I'm a mind kind of guy. I feel like there's certain things which I learned very early on that I would like to share with you that I believe are going to take you to the next level. So my presentation today is titled Mindset of the Money Man or the Money Woman, Lessons for Success in Life from the Young Icon. If you don't know who the Young Icon is, it's me. Let's go to the next slide. So I want to let you know a little bit about myself, and I've put it into two categories. So the first category, sorry, 1 second, I want to start my stopwatch. The first category is the things that matter to me. And then the next category is the things that matter to you. But I'm going to start with the things that matter to me. First thing that matters to me is that I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again Christian, and I've been a born-again Christian since I was about 8 years old. And that has helped me shape and become who I am today. I feel like a lot of the places I've been to has been because God has been watching over my life. Nextly, I am a kingdom financier. I love to give into the gospel. If anyone is here from RFP, you know that I love to give into the kingdom of God. Nextly, I am a husband. I'm here with my lovely wife, Rachel. Could you please stand and wave at everyone? I am a father. I have 2 boys, and we have another one on the way. Very blessed. I am a fitness enthusiast. If you've known me in the last 5 years, you might think I'm a fat dad bod guy. But if you knew me 10 years ago, I used to be a buff dude. I used to work out. So those are the things that matter to me. Now, for the things that matter to you, I am a billionaire. And I am here, I'm also here with my people who I love. I'm here with one of my billionaire brothers, Prince. Please stand and wave at the congregation. I am also here with some of my associates from work, Harry, Chisomo. Please stand and wave at the congregation. One thing you learn about money, one thing you learn about growing as a businessman, as anything in life, is that community is very important. So apart from that, I'm a serial entrepreneur. As has been mentioned, I am the lead consultant at Iconic Real Estate Agency. I am a director at Burnside Limited. That is a real estate development company. And I am also a director at Zatu Trading. That is an agro business. I am a certified real estate practitioner. I am an investor, and I am an author. I've written a book. When you walk under the footsteps of Pastor Aubrey, there's so many things that you do. Let's go to the next slide. So, I have a question for you. And I hope at the end we'll have, when you're asking me questions, one of the things that I would want for you to tell me before you ask me a question is, what does success look like to you? Let's get into it. So, I have 10 lessons for you. In fact, I had 8 lessons, but I decided that I'm going to add a bonus 2. I want to go through it pretty quickly. Can we go to the next slide? So, the way I came up with my lessons, I remember that you guys are young. I remember that I was young, and there were some things that I used to like, some hip-hop music here and there, some movies. But then I realized that we're of a different generation. So what I think is like music, you guys probably think is a classic, or maybe you don't even know it. But anyways, hopefully you'll be able to keep up. So lesson number 1, I titled, Baby, I'm a Mac, Not a PC. So this is from like a rap song that I used to like. And I want you to understand that this is about a mindset thing. when you look at yourself, you need to view yourself as a premium product. In order to succeed in any endeavor in life, you need to view yourself as a premium product. When you think Mac, when you think Apple, you think premium. Now, you need to understand that I'm not saying that PC is not a good machine, but have you ever noticed how you can get a PC, which is like low value? You can get a cheap PC, or you can get like a really expensive PC, is possible. But when you hear Mac, when you hear Apple, what do you think? Premium product, isn't it? So I want you to develop the mindset where you look at yourself and you think of yourself as a premium product. You think of yourself as very high value. Success in business, success in a workplace, it demands that you think of yourself as premium. You need to think of yourself as him if you're a man. And if you're a woman, you need to think of yourself as her. So if you're sitting next to someone, tell them, I am him, if you're a man, or if you're a lady, tell them, I am her. Do you know what it means to be him? Him is that guy. Him is the iPhone 16 Pro Max. When you're a Pro Max. So when you wake up every morning, think of yourself as him. Think of yourself as that Pro Max, because success demands that you have self-esteem. Let's go to lesson number 2. Lesson number 2 is from the movie Scarface. There's this scene in the movie Scarface that I really like. It's when Scarface, the actor, he's a gangster. I mean, don't be a gangster, but even from the gangsters, you can learn from them. There's a point where they're rising up in life. They were in a refugee camp. They just moved to America. And then a year later, things are starting to pick up for them. So Scarface is in the car with his friend. And his friend is like, he's telling his friend about his plans. But then his friend is like, hey, you should be happy. A year ago, we're in a refugee camp. And Scarface looks at his friend and is like, you be happy. It's like, I'm not happy. And his friend is like, hey, but we're in a refugee camp. Now we're driving around the city in a Cadillac. And he's like, no, you be happy. I want the world, Chico, and I want everything in it. Success belongs to the ambitious. Success belongs to those people who want more than everyone else. If you're going to become a successful entrepreneur, if you're going to become a CEO, there needs to be a desire for you to be above. You need to have a desire. You need to have that mindset where you think the world belongs to you. I'm one of those people who I genuinely believe and I genuinely desire that the world belongs to me. You don't become a billionaire by thinking in millions. You don't become a billionaire by thinking in hundreds of thousands. You need to desire the world. You need to see that everything is possible. And because what I liked about the movie was this guy was in a refugee camp. And, from being in a refugee camp and you're in a Cadillac, you're driving in the city, but you still feel like that's not enough. Look, I'm not telling you to be greedy, but I want you to want more than you want right now. Let's go to lesson number 3. Lesson number 3 is titled, It's Easy to Be Hard, So Hard to Be Easy. Yeah, there's no way you guys would know this song, so I'm not even going to bother. But life has a way of, especially if you've had a tough life, it has a way of hardening a person to the point where you become so hard that it becomes almost impossible for you to be teachable. Success, the mindset of success, it demands that you have the ability to learn. It demands that you have the ability to unlearn, and it demands the ability for you to relearn. There's some experiences that you have gone through, and those experiences can be tough. And when you go through these tough experiences, don't let that harden you. It's something that you must use to fuel you up, but don't let that harden you. We had a presenter on Thursday who talked about the many failures that you're going to experience. Failure is nothing new. If you experience a failure in whatever endeavor you're taking, you're not the first one. Don't let that harden you, but have that mindset where you're always able to learn and always have that determination in your heart, always have that softness in your heart, that childlike faith where you believe that your time will come. So remember, it's easy to be hard, but so hard to be easy. Lesson number 4. I'm doing well on time. I'm very happy with myself. Life is slow, but you can run fast. You know, here in Malawi, there's a problem that us Malawians have, especially with respect to time, especially with our attitude in most things. Malawians tend to have a very laissez-faire attitude, and you know, there's a sense of whatever will be, will be. There's a sense of in God's time. You know, you Christian people. No, it will happen in God's time. No, 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 no. Success, the mindset of truly achieving success, it demands a sense of urgency. For you to be successful, you need to move fast. The thing with life is everyone chooses how quickly they achieve success. And that's something that no one ever tells you. You know, a lot of people think, no, it will happen one day. No, it will happen one day. But how quickly you get to success is your choice. There are factors that are out of your control at any given moment in time, but there are always factors that are within your control. Let's say you have a desire to become a CEO. If you study what the type of people that get to CEO, the mindset of them, or not even so much the mindset, even just their qualifications, even their experiences, you start to realize that, yes, you might be a clerk today, but in order to be a CEO, you notice that most people who make it in life have an MBA, they're accountants, they are, whatever it is, they're an engineer. If you want to become a successful engineer, you need to get your degree, you need to get your certifications. Your job doesn't matter. The things that you do in order to achieve that success, that's what matters. So, life is slow in the sense that, you know, if you just keep living life, it will keep going at that pace. But the moment you throw in some urgency, then you can achieve everything that you want to achieve. There's a saying that I like. It's from an old reggae song. The quote goes, "If it's never too late, then make it early." For me, I understand this to mean that if you understand that this is something that is inevitable, this is something that I want to achieve, then why not just do it immediately? You know, if you say, I want to start a business, why don't you just start? If it's your plan, like, why do you want to make it late? Just make it early. Life is slow, but you can run fast. Let's go to lesson number 5. This is one of my favorite lessons. You know, there's this classic movie, Troy, from the Odyssey, a Greek mythological story written by Homer. And in it, there's a scene that I particularly like. The Greeks are fighting another army. And as you know, like in the olden days, kind of like the situation with David and Goliath, whereby instead of every army fighting each other, they'll just send their champion. So the other army sent their champion, and he actually looked a lot like Goliath, like he was maybe like 9 feet tall. And the Greeks, everyone in the Greek army was afraid. They didn't want to fight this guy because, you know, it's the same thing in the Bible. Everyone didn't want to fight Goliath. It took David. Now, in this scene, the king for the other side, he calls his champion. So his champion comes forward. And then the king of the Greeks, he calls his champion. He screams out, Achilles! But, you know, Achilles is nowhere to be found. I don't want you to copy this, but, you know, in times of battle, this man was sleeping. So they send this kid to go get Achilles. And Achilles wakes up, and he's getting on his horse. He's ready to go and fight. And then the kid is like, this man is the biggest man I've ever seen. I wouldn't want to fight him. And this is my favorite thing. So I'm going to like turn around and I'll do it the way he did it. So he turns around and he looks at the kid. That's why no one will remember your name. That spoke to me. You know, in this life, there's a lot of tasks. There's a lot of difficult things that need to be done that a lot of people are not going to do. The mindset of success it demands that you have boldness, that you have bravery. It requires that you are willing to do the things that other people are not willing to do. You are willing to fight the battles that other people are not willing to fight. In this life, many times no one ever really remembers who came in second, and no one ever remembers who came in third. Like, no one remembers who came third. So, in order to be someone who people are going to remember your name, in order for you to be very successful, you need to be willing to do the things that other people are not willing to do. You need to be bold. You need to be very courageous. Success demands it. Ask your neighbor, will people remember your name? I hope after this teaching, this presentation that I'm giving, you're going to be bold, you're going to take on challenges, and then you're going to have that mindset. You're going to remember that scene. That's why no one will remember your name. It speaks to me. Let's go to lesson number 6. One of the things that I pride myself in, one of the things that I glory in, one of the things that is very, very important to me, and one of the things that a lot of people mistakenly say that I will never indulge in, or I will never have that mindset, is I am not self-made. I am God-made. Any success, every success that I have achieved in this life, I attribute it to God. The ability to make wealth, the power to make wealth, it comes from God. Let no one cheat you that you can achieve true and lasting success without God. I depend on God in every business that I do, and I do multiple businesses. It's hard for me sometimes to even come up with a profile. They asked me to come up with a profile, and I put lead consultant for Iconic Real Estate Agency. But there's so many things that I do. I'm in real estate, I'm in agro-business, I'm in development. I think the best way that I describe myself is I am him, but I am the him who everyone goes to find the other him. So, like, there's him here, there's him there who's looking for him there, so they come to him. I hope that makes sense. But in everything that I do, I depend on God. God is the one who gives me ideas. God is the one who tells me, do this, don't do this. And a lot of people sometimes ask me, Sam, does it mean everything that you do, you pray about it? Like, if I come to you, are you going to pray about something and find out whether we can go forward? And I'm going to admit something which, it's probably not very churchy, but I don't pray about everything. I just live a prayerful life. Every day I'm spending a minimum of an hour in prayer. I'm studying the word. And because I have that connection with God, because I have that fellowship with the Holy Spirit, I don't need, when a situation happens, to start panicking, go into my war room. I'm not against war rooms. Go into your war rooms. But me, I go in the morning so that I'm going to battle and people will know my name. So, I involve God in everything that I do. I involve God in my businesses. I involve God in my marriage. I involve God in my interactions with everyone. And because of this, I am the overwhelming success that I am. Because I'll be perfectly honest, the success that God has given me, there's times where it overwhelms me as well. I look at myself and I look at people who are much more qualified than me. I look at people with their master's degrees, PhDs. They don't touch the kind of money that I touch. There's nothing special about me in and of myself. What's special about me is that I'm God-made. Let's go to lesson number 7. Lesson number 7 is that givers never lack. One of the secrets of success, or the mindset of success, that I've learned here, and I'm very grateful to be a part of this ministry, is that I've been under the words of Pastor Aubrey, and Pastor Aubrey has taught me from very early on. I was in college when I came to this ministry, and in my very early days, Pastor Aubrey told me the secrets of giving. He told me the importance of giving. He told me the importance of being a giver. Now, when we teach it in church, many times, or the perspective, the understanding that a lot of you young people, a lot of us young people seem to have is that we think that we're talking about giving money. Yes, giving money is good and it's very important, but you must just be a giver. If you ask any of my associates, people come to my office, competitors come to our office, and I give them advice. I tell them my quote unquote trade secrets. Because one thing I've learned is that givers never lack. When you give, the principle is that it is given back to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together. It's not just money. When you give someone your knowledge, it is the principle that God needs to give you even more knowledge. So if you give someone your trade secrets that were working for the past 5 years, God is going to give you more secrets that are going to work for your next 5 years. So what ends up happening is a man always gets bigger than what he gives. So if this was your level and you only give other people this much, what ends up happening is your level is still higher than your giving. And so what is going to happen is you remain at the same level. But if this is your level and you give to this level, you give everything that you have. Of necessity, because of the principle, God must increase your level. So if you continue to give, then what ends up happening is you continue to rise. So if you're going to truly succeed in life, don't be someone who holds back. Don't hold back money. Be generous. Don't hold back information. Be generous. You know those people in college, Anka Shava Manotsaja. Where are they now? Where are they now? Some of us, we used to photocopy, we used to share everyone everything. Look at us. Look at where we are. So, remember this as a principle. Givers never lack. Give freely, but don't give stupidly. Okay? If there's something that you need to, if there's a piece of information that's required that you need to, let's say, present on, or you need to do something that is going to, if you give it away, is going to be detrimental, then obviously it's foolish to give it away. As you are giving, be wise. You can't say, I have 100,000 kwacha, I need to pay rent, but I'm going to give this 100,000 kwacha, rent to sort itself out. I'm going to give it to this beggar on the street. He looks like he needs it more than me. No, don't be foolish with your giving. No, go sit down. Lesson number 8. I'm going to speed through the rest. Osa Obandalama. And there was a song by Lil Wayne. It used to go and get your money, little duffel bag, boy. You guys know that one? Nah, come on. Don't act churchy on me. I put this at the end, but it's very obvious. There's this thing about money. Everyone seems to think that they're not afraid of money, but you guys are afraid of money. I'm going to share this story. So just to illustrate this, there was a group of young rich men who were hanging out. So let's just imagine it's me, Prince, my wife, Jack Suleiman, and Chisomumba. We're rich. We're hanging out. We're having lunch. So it was a rainy day, and there was this lady who was walking outside. She was selling bananas. So she slipped and she fell. So me and my friends were like, oh no, this lady, she's working so hard. This is unfortunate. So between us, we're like, let's give her some money. Let's make her day. So Prince, my wife, Chisomo, we're rich. In our pockets, we check out. How much money do we have? It happens that we have about $20,000 in cash. So we take that $20,000 and, we want to give it to this lady. This lady, she said, no. She said, this must be witchcraft. I make $1 a day. How can these people give me $20,000? She was afraid of money. Even you, whether you believe it or not, there's a figure that you're afraid of. And I want you to eliminate that figure. I work in real estate. And so God has kind of taken that fear away from me because of the monies that I see. For me, I have money man friends. I call them money man friends because, they're some big boys. In your business, you're making a profit of 1 million a day. You think you are rich. You are not rich, my friend. I have friends who, on a bad day, and this is a fact, on a bad day, their gross revenues are 600 million kwacha. on a bad day, every day on a bad day. I have friends who, when I'm chatting with, this other time I went to meet with my mentor and he was telling me about how, Sam, invest in this stock. And I met him 2 weeks later. And then, I hadn't invested in the stock because I didn't have the cash at that time. And he told me, Sam, did you invest? I said, no. He's like, have you seen the gain? Over this past 2 weeks, I've made 1.8 billion. Yes, there are people making those type of monies. So don't be afraid of money. Ask for that raise. Bid for that tender where you're getting 100 million kwacha. If you feel like it's time, it's time. Bonus lesson number 9. It's staying power. It's something which Pastor Aubrey has taught us. And I have this friend of mine, is a German white boy. And it's crazy because one of the statements that he speaks in Chichewa, which he speaks in perfect Chichewa, is this quote over here, which says, Zintu zabuino zimatenga ntawi. That's the way he says it. So good things take time. And sometimes being where you are is where you need to be. If you're working for argument's sake at Old Mutual, sometimes that's where you need to be. And sometimes you're going to rise. It's going to take time. I've seen my wife, the entire time I've been with my wife, she's been working with 1 Acre Fund. And at 1 Acre Fund, she has grown. She went from associate level all the way up. Now she's got chief of staff position. Sometimes where you are is where you need to be. RFP, where you are is where you need to be. When I came here at RFP, I was a student. I didn't have money to my name. Actually, sometimes I was on negative. But because I've stayed, because of the word that Pastor continues to teach, my life has been built up. And the last one, number 10, you gotta risk it for the biscuit. You gotta risk it for the biscuit. Life demands that you risk it in order to get to where you are. You need to have that mindset where sometimes you just say, Jesus, take the wheel, you jump in and you hope for the best. I think my time is up. Thank you very much.